it's another week, another recipe, and today I am doing the best rye bread ever from 1853 with a pretty cool history behind it. Come join me. Hey everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Courtney Morris and I cook history's forgotten recipes out of random cookbooks I find, sometimes websites, sometimes viewer submissions, and today I've got an exciting one because I'm collaborating with Kristin from the channel Bake Across Europe, which is a fantastic channel, and I will tell you about that here in just a minute. If you're new here, thank you for joining us in this video. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you join the community. We're growing ever so slowly because my schedule's been a little off, but I hope you join it anyways. We do have a lot of fun here. And if you're coming back for more, hello. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience. I hope you enjoy this, and I am so glad that you are here. All right, let's get into it. All right, so this one I'm excited about because it does have some pretty cool historical context. So we're going to be doing a Bavarian Rye compilation here. She's going to be doing the old, classic, traditional Bavarian Rye from Bavaria, which is a little part in Germany that used to be Bavaria before it was all part of Germany. And I'm going to be doing the Americanized version of it. When the immigrants came over, there was one in 1853 named Fritz Pullman that opened the Pullman Bakery over on East Ogden Avenue in Milwaukee. And this was their classic Old Milwaukee Rye. And again, so you don't forget, after this video, you have to click in the description below for the link to Kristin's channel so you can watch the original recipe that this little baby came from. All right, so the recipe we got here is 2 parts, and this is one thing that you need to read because you have to start the first part 2 or 3 days in advance because it starts with a sour, which is, if you're familiar with sourdough, it means you have to ferment your dough for a little bit before you start using it. So this has been, I don't know if you can see that, it's fermented. It's got a little poof there. And what this is 1 package of dry yeast, which is 2 1/4 teaspoons, 1 1/2 cups of water. Whew, oh, that's alcoholic smelling. 2 cups of rye flour and a tablespoon of caraway seeds. And in traditional rye, you can use fennel also, but we're sticking to the recipe, so we got caraway. And I will get a close-up of this, but it looks like sludge, and it smells like old beer. You know you have fermented well enough when it smells like booze and you have these pockets, these air pockets where the bacteria have fermented and bursted their bubbles. So I will obviously put this recipe in the description below, but just so you have it in video form, because sometimes I just like to hear it in recipes when I do stuff rather than read it. Terra sour 2 to 3 days before use. Dissolve yeast in warm water in a 2-quart bowl, blend in the rye flour and the caraway seeds, cover it with foil. I ran out of foil, so I just used the lid, which worked just fine. And this mixture is like a thick brown paste, which rises and falls as it develops flavor. Flavor meaning that boozy scent. Now, that does get cooked out. If you know anything about sourdough, that alcoholic smell doesn't stay. I am gonna put this to the side, and we're gonna start the rest of it. I'm so excited. I get to be back in front of the camera after 3 weeks, and it's a bread, and I love rye bread. So, sorry, nerding out a little bit. Okay, so I've got most everything out. A quick disclaimer, this is not a fast bread. Based on the instructions, it's not quick, which you'll find with most artisanal breads and breads that you actually want to be really, really good. They're gonna take you some time. It's not a fast rise. So we start with 1 package of yeast and a cup of warm water, and then we add in our sour, that lovely brown sludge. And it just looks so appetizing. But we're supposed to mix it all together, and quite honestly, I don't think I've ever made a bread quite like this before. This technique is new to me, but we will see what happens. It actually isn't taking as much time to blend as I kind of thought it would. It started out really soupy, as you saw, so I was kind of wondering if that was going to be a problem, but now it's just a nice batter. And then we add a 1/4 cup of molasses, which is not out here. Hold on. Well, this is a rare occasion. I actually have to open a new one. Okay, we got molasses everywhere. This is going to give it a great flavor. Molasses in a dark bread is so good. 1/4 cup of molasses, caraway, salt, and rye flour. Okay, so then add molasses, caraway, which I need 1 tablespoon, then a tablespoon of salt. Then I need to add the rye flour and 2 cups of the white flour. No, it calls for 1 cup of rye flour, but then 5 cups of the white flour, but it only wants me to add in 2 at the moment. So, okay, for reading instructions ahead of time. Beat until smooth, about 100 strokes. Since this is an 1850s recipe, I'm sure up until the time the Pullman Bakery closed, they probably upgraded into mixers, but since I'm trying to work as authentically as I can here, arm muscle it is. I'm not really gonna count, I'm just gonna go until it's smooth, I guess. And my goodness, it's smelling like a bar. It smells like beer, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It actually smells kind of good. It's just very fragrant right now. Yeah, 100 strokes like this. This is good. I think I probably got about 75 more to go. See you on the other side. Okay, you can definitely, I think I'm almost to the point where I've hit 100, but you can, like that gluten in there, that is, this hurts a lot. So next, add shortening with a little more flour, a little at a time, first with a spoon and then with the hand. 3 tablespoons of soft shortening with a little more flour. So we're 5 to 5.5 cups. I've already put in 2, so I gotta keep track of that. So a little, and we're supposed to just put it in a little bit at a time. Okay, so maybe they didn't use a rubber spatula. I mean, there is wood in the middle of it. That's a silicone one, but maybe I should switch to a wooden spoon. I'm gonna switch to my hands. Yeah. And the dough should clean away from the sides of the bowl, but will be sticky due to the rye flour. When the mixer came in, like the commercial bakery mixers, how excited were people? So since this is taking a little bit of time, I'm gonna give you a little backstory and history that I found out because I found pictures to go with everything and I thought it was super cool, and that'll give me enough time to get this stupid thing put together. So this is Friedrich, or Fritz Pullman, who was the owner and operator of the Pullman Bakery, which was the first recorded bakery in Milwaukee in 1853. And they served their famous rye bread, their Bavarian rye bread, out of this house bakery in the very beginning, and was considered the first ethnic bakery in Milwaukee. Eventually was successful enough to move over to Ogden Avenue into more of a commercial building, and then his son Joseph took over the building and the bakery until it closed. Now it says turn onto lightly floured cloth covered board. Now because this is a commercial operation for the recipe, they would have that. I don't. I'm just gonna have a flour covered counter. So it says cover while washing your hands and then grease fingers and knead about 675 strokes until the dough is smooth. Grease fingers and knead about 75 strokes or until dough is smooth. I also really am loving this recipe in the sense that there's a history behind it. And that's one of the reasons Kristin reached out to me, because there was a traceable history between how it came from Bavaria all the way over to Milwaukee. Now after Pullman's Bakery closed, I wondered if the Old Milwaukee Rye Bread is still something that is a thing in that community. If you're from there or you know, I would love to know in the comments below if the Old Milwaukee Rye Bread still exists, or if it's still a tradition, or is it just kind of gone the wayside into something else. Cover and let rise for 45 to 60 minutes or until doubled. Dent should remain when fingers pressed. So that's how you know it poofed. Okay, so it's smooth side down. So I'm gonna do that, and I prefer using plastic wrap instead of a dish towel, only for the sake that it tends to keep the moisture in. All right, I'm gonna stick this in my warm oven. I've got high hopes for this. I'm so excited because if this works, I've got barley beef soup ready for dinner tonight, and this would be an amazing side for it. All right, so we've got an hour rise on this, and it hooked. It looks great. So then it says to punch down the dough. I love that so much. Turn over and let it rise 10 more minutes. That is a nice texture of dough, and it smells so good. Okay, I'm gonna cover this back up, let it rise for 10 more minutes, and excuse my hands. I'm also painting my upstairs, so while I had an hour for it to rise, I went and trimmed it out. So As messy of a cook as I am, I'm an even messier painter, so I'm kind of surprised it's just not all over me. Okay, that was 10 minutes. I don't know exactly what that did. It is nicely rounded yet again. So, I mean, I guess it gave it a little more cook, but whatever. Okay, so next we need to divide the dough into 2 parts, round up each half into a smooth ball, and place on opposite corners of a baking sheet sprinkled with cornmeal. Okay, baking sheet, cornmeal. I'm assuming you could use a silpat, but considering that wasn't invented back then, cornmeal it is. All right, so we'll just cut this down the center. Roll it on itself. Okay, so now we place on opposite corners of a baking sheet sprinkled with cornmeal. I don't know I feel like this sheet might be too small. Okay, and then we cover and rise again for 30 to 45 minutes. I'm gonna raise this for 30 to 45 minutes until doubled, and then we're gonna bake it finally. This has taken a while. It's given me time to paint my upstairs, so have a project in between and don't go anywhere. All right, I'll be back. All right, look at these beauties. They're not exactly round. It's a little misshapen, and I think it might have to be from the lip of the pan, but sue me, sorry. Okay, so these smell really good. I'm really excited about this. Next, preheat oven to 375, which it's currently doing. And then just before baking, slash tops of loaves quickly 2 or 3 times with a sharp knife or razor blade. Then brush the entire top with warm water and bake for 50 to 60 minutes. All right, these are done. This took all afternoon, but that's kind of to be expected when you're doing old loaves like this. It's not a quick bread, like I told you, and I'm hoping it's worth every penny. Now, as you can tell, some bread-loving gremlins in my family got to this before I did. Thankfully, there are 2 loaves, and I was able to get a decent picture, but it's gotten rave reviews from everybody else, so I'm dying to try this. It took the full 60 minutes, and I did forget to mention that halfway through, the instructions do say halfway through cooking to put parchment paper, or I think they said the brown wrapping paper over top so it doesn't get too brown, and that seemed to work. I used foil. The bottom looks really nice. It's crusty, and it's kind of crusty up here, but it's still pliable, so it's not like super, super hard, and it smells amazing. So without further ado, I'm gonna get into this. Now, this is definitely a denser bread. It's not your white sandwich bread, but you wouldn't have gotten a white sandwich bread in Bavaria when Bavaria was Bavaria. Oh, that's a nice, dense, but fluffy crumb. This is gonna be a good soup bread. It smells like rye. You can almost smell that molasses. I'm gonna try a piece without butter. I always put butter and salt on it because that's just my go-to. I love it that way, but fair is fair. Oh, that's got a couple different flavors going. That's really good. It's light and fluffy, dense at the same time. Great for like soup. This is gonna go fantastic. I've got beef barley soup tonight, and I was trying to think of what else to go with it, and we got it. So Kristin, thank you for that. It's nutty. You taste the rye. Caraway is there, but it's not so pronounced like in some rye breads. I think I had done a rye bread recipe a couple months back, and it definitely had a very pungent caraway flavor, which is good. But this has a very like underlying caraway flavor. The molasses, though, I'm tasting a molasses, which gives it a really nice, I don't want to say gingerbread because it's not gingerbread, but it really brings out that nutty flavor of the rye. That's a great combination. Maybe it's bringing out the flavor of the caraway underneath. I don't even know. I'm not a food critic. I'm just telling you this is tasting really good. Texture is fantastic. I'm a little sad that bakery went under. I mean, and I'm sure they made loaves way better than I did. Like, this is an easy bread to make minus the hand kneading that almost killed me. Yes, I would do it in my mixer next time, but it worked. It worked out. And I'm sure a bakery who does it so many loaves all the time would have produced something maybe a little more refined and less rustic looking. I don't know. Maybe it was supposed to be rustic looking, but I'm a little sad that perhaps this bakery, I don't know. I'd have to look, but I think when it closed down, I think that was it. And this recipe lives on basically through the internet. Okay, because I have to, I'm gonna let you know how it is with butter. And if you can't get salted butter, which I didn't get, I usually get the Kerrygold salted Irish butter, which is superb. Just regular butter and coarse kosher salt. Even it works. It's so good. Oh, that's a lot of butter. I don't need that much. But this is my favorite way to eat buttered bread, quite honestly. I just died and went to oven. This is so good. Kristin from Baking Across Europe, you're a wonder. Thank you for collabing with me on this. What a great recipe. What a great find. Thank you for showing me this. You guys have to go check out her channel after you finish watching this. She has some amazing stuff. I can't wait for you guys to see that so you can compare the two, make the two, enjoy the two. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. If you're still with me, thank you so much. I really appreciate you spending a little bit of your time in my little corner of the internet. I love doing these old experiments to see whether things are good, and this has been a fantastic video and collaboration. If a recipe's good, I usually recommend you try it, and I will put the description below. This one is great, and I highly recommend you do it. Do it, do it, do it. It is fantastic. You can do it in your mixer. You don't have to hand do it. Please say hi to me in the comments. Let me know you were here and that I wasn't alone in my kitchen today. I would love to talk with you, and let me know what you thought. All right, I will see you next time. Hopefully sooner than later. I'm working on it, I promise. All right, have a great one. Bye.